So for March 5th, I intentionally switched decks. I moved from the universal Rider-Waite that I keep at the shop where I work to my original Pamela Coleman Smith Rider-Waite. This is the deck that I learned tarot on, kind of built my foundation with tarot. So it's a different deck, and there's the same elemental emphasis. There's the same cards popping up in this reading as the previous one. So when you change the deck and the pattern still repeats, that tells me we're not looking at a fluke. We're looking at something that's actually moving. So let's take this one card by card. No hype, just clarity. And underneath the deck, overall theme for the reading, we have the King of Pentacles. We'll come back to that. Nine of Swords, the present. So this is a card that was in the reading for yesterday. And this is mental processing. It's not necessarily panic. You know, this person is not having a good time, but they're not frantic. It's not necessarily crisis, right? This is processing. This is late night thinking. This is a pillow philosophy. This is replaying conversations, replaying decisions, looking at what shifted. What could I have done different? And here's the distinction that I want to make. There's spiraling, and then there's metabolizing. And spiraling feels chaotic. Metabolizing feels heavy, but intentional. And that's what I'm seeing here. And lately, at least in my own life, I've noticed that when something ends or changes, there's this phase where my brain wants to go back through everything. Not to beat myself up, but just to understand it, right? To look at the patterns and examine my own behavior and see what did I do and why, and integrate that. And so that's what this feels like to me. You know, we're not lost, we're integrating. And the crossing card, we have a little bit of glare here, but the Hermit. This is another card that showed up in the very last reading. So if you haven't seen that one and this resonates with you, you might want to check that out. Yeah, this is the Hermit. This isn't accidental isolation. This is chosen reflection. This is stepping back instead of reacting, which means that the Nine of Swords energy isn't instability, right? It's conscious review. You know, swords are mental energy, right? This is the conscious part of that review. And astrologically, this all tracks with where we're at right now. You know, we just moved through an eclipse in Virgo. Virgo is a sign associated with the Hermit card. And Virgo doesn't explode. Virgo refines. It edits. It cleans. It reorganizes what isn't efficient anymore. So if you feel like you've been auditing your own patterns, which I very much have, that makes sense. And this is for someone who realized something about themselves and decided not to run from it. And that's maturity. So in the root of the reading, we have the Death card in card number 3. Let's not soften this. Something ended. And maybe it's a pattern, a dynamic, a relationship, a version of you. And death in the root position says that this is already done. This isn't something might change or a transition is coming. This is the foundation has shifted, which means the Nine of Swords up here, this is not fear of loss, right? This is the processing of this change. It's adjustment to a new identity. And there's a big difference. And so that brings us to card number 4, Seven of Wands, the recent past. And this is kind of what we went through. And during the recent past, we held our ground. We didn't collapse. We didn't overextend. And look at this person. He's taking up all the room he can. We certainly didn't shrink to keep something comfortable. And I want to sit with that for a second, because growth doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes growth looks like holding a boundary while your nervous system is uncomfortable. Sometimes it looks like not over-explaining. Sometimes it looks like no is a complete sentence. That's what this feels like. We stayed upright during a challenge. So far in this arc, We have processing, internal reflection, foundation ending, and a boundary defended. And that's not chaos. This is growing up. This is individuation. This is becoming a more mature and robust version of our adult selves. And so from here, now we're going to really get into these pentacles. And that tells me that this is a spread that's about construction, not about catharsis, right? The focus isn't on what's gone. The focus is on where we're going. And the number 5 card here, message from above or from your higher self, however you might want to perceive that, is the Ace of Pentacles. And so this is a real world opportunity, right? Pentacles are earth. This is another card that's a repeat from a different deck. And yeah, this is not intensity. It's not emotional fireworks. This is something practical, right? Aces indicate a new beginning, and the Pentacles, again, earth, right? So this is a new start of something tangible, and maybe not super glorious. This might be work, money, a workout routine, changing up your morning routine to add some skincare, structure of some kind. And I've noticed personally, when I stopped obsessing over emotional validation and I started focusing on those kinds of things, my actual daily systems and what's real and tangible, things stabilized really fast. You know, it wasn't exciting, and it's not exciting. It's stable, and that's what this card is saying to me. This card is saying that there's something real in front of you. This isn't, are they coming back, or will this work out? This is what are you building? What's next? And from there, we go to the 3 of Pentacles, right? So this is the immediate future. And 3 of Pentacles represents collaboration, skill, contribution. This is a humble energy, right? This is an artisan, and these monks are like commissioning him to do this work. And that's what this card is all about. It's about showing up, doing the work, refining your craft, and collaborating with people that are willing to meet you. And if you've been following the readings for the last few days, there's a theme emerging for sure, and it's that we're moving away from intensity towards stability. And this card fully confirms it. Like look at this pillar in the center. You don't get much more stable than that. And these people, they're not in a rush. You know, they're working together on this project. It's going to take as long as it takes, but when it's done, it's going to be real and stable. And yeah, I think that's a major theme in the last few readings, and there's definitely an arc there. So again, if this resonates with you, you may want to check out some of the recent readings from this week. So moving on to card number 7, your thoughts and feelings, and you have the King of Swords. So swords, mental energy, right? The King of Swords has mastered his mind. And so this is us being clear, measured, thoughtful. And you know, this is the king, right? The king doesn't chase, doesn't beg, doesn't negotiate with reality, doesn't wish for his enemies to go away. He strategizes, he evaluates, and he takes action. He uses his discernment. That's what this sword is. This is the sword of truth right here. This is the sword of discernment. And when I look back from here to the 9 of Swords, this is telling me something important. We might not be in the happiest place right now. We might still be thinking deeply or processing difficult emotions, but we're not destabilized, right? We're discerning, and that's power, right? So moving on to the Others card with a 10 of Wands. And The traditional definition for this is, I think, saving up to buy a home. But what I see here is that somebody is overloaded. It doesn't make them wrong. It just means they don't have capacity. And sometimes we interpret that as rejection when it's actually just a bandwidth mismatch, right? They have other priorities, they have other things going on. Maybe they are saving for a home, maybe they're building a home out of sticks, who knows? But, you know, it, to me, this indicates that other people may be a little bit preoccupied, again, overwhelmed, dealing with their own burdens. And so we may have still a little bit to process and some confusion around what we're seeing in our relationships with others. It's a hard realization to come to the place of, maybe the love is there and the affection is there and the relationship is very positive. Maybe it's just a friendship and all the things are great, but this person is preoccupied, this person is overloaded, this person has too much going on, and so it's a little bit of a strain. Not a big deal, just something to notice. And the other thing I'm seeing here, right, is the correlation with the Seven of Wands. Wands are fire, right? And so this is us holding our ground in the past. And then in others, we have more wands and fire. So this person could also be maybe holding their ground in a different way. And so now the arc for this looks like the ending already happened. We held our ground, an opportunity opened. We're building skill. We're clear. Someone else is overwhelmed. So this isn't a romance reading, even though I mentioned some interpersonal relationship stuff. This is a reading that's about our own internal growth and maturation. So continuing on to the card in the number 9 position, this is your hopes or fears. This is the 6 of Pentacles. And to me, what this is saying is we want reciprocity. We want equal effort. We want balanced exchange, mutual investment, not mythology, not intensity alone, not empty promises, not we'll get together sometime and sometime never comes. Effort, consistency. That's healthy, right? That's balance. Notice the scales here. And where is this going? More pentacles again. Where this is going, the number 10 card, the potential outcome, they're the 8 of Pentacles. So this is mastery. This is repetition, getting better daily. Look at this guy is diligently working on this pentacle. He's got all these other pentacles. These look like they're done. This one on the ground, this one down here. This is more work that he's doing, and he's taking his time perfecting it, right? And that ties in again underneath the deck, the King of Pentacles. So this is stability, this is reliability, long-term grounded energy. That's the trajectory. It's not fireworks, it's foundation. And look at who we're stepping into. The energy that we're stepping into is the King of Pentacles, right? This king has a very stable base and opulence, wealth, security, obviously very, very secure in his position, in his power. And I see this as a bit of an evolution, right? We would go from the Ace of Pentacles to the 3 to the 6 to the 8 and ultimately become the king. So that's what I'm seeing here in the spread. If you've been here for the past few readings, you can probably feel the continuity in this. So we're not in an energy collapse anymore. We're in construction. So that's the energy of this. This ending was not the story. the identity after the ending is, right? So this is for us to lay the bricks one at a time. So if this resonates, I hope this is helpful for you. If not, take what applies and leave the rest. And yeah, I'll have another reading up for you soon. Thank you. See you again.